you're live.
Thank you, Christina. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Doherty Valley Geologic Hazard Abatement District meeting for July the 28th. Madam Clerk.
Prior to roll call, I would like to make an announcement regarding the teleconferencing of this meeting. I would like to make clear for the record, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that the governor has issued executive orders relaxing the requirements pertaining to remote meetings under the Brown Act. The executive orders authorize this board to hold public meetings by teleconferencing during the COVID-19 crisis. I previously went over the specific provisions of the Brown Act that have been temporarily amended or suspended in order to allow for this meeting to take place by teleconference. And this meeting will comply with all such provisions. I will now conduct a roll, after which I would ask the chair to recognize me in order to confirm certain matters of the record. Board Member Hudson.
Here.
Board Member Alone.
Here.
Board Member Perkins.
Here.
Vice Chair Safar.
Here.
And Chair Clarkson.
Here.
Thank you. I would now like to ask 3 questions. Rather than ask you to respond separately, I'll ask all 3, and if the answer is no to any one of them, please indicate by raising your hand. Can you hear me well? Have you been able to hear our proceedings up until now? And were you able to hear all of your fellow board members clearly as they responded to roll call?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Let's see. And finally, I would now like to advise the board and the clerk that any votes taken during the teleconferencing portion of this meeting must be taken by roll call. Item 2, announcements. We have none. Item 3 is public comment.
Public comment are for items that are not on, I believe are on this agenda. Is there anybody who's raised their hand to address us on anything that's on the agenda?
I have not received any written comment, and there is no one in attendance of this meeting.
Okay, giving it a second here. In case somebody has a comment. Not seeing it. Okay, I will close public comment.
Item 4, approval of minutes. Before you are the minutes from the Doherty Valley Geologic Hazard Abatement District meeting from June 9th for your approval or amendment.
Approval.
Hudson. I heard Hudson make the motion. Who came in second there, Christina?
I heard Board Member Perkins.
Okay. Any discussion? Not seen any. Madam Clerk, would you like to do a roll call?
Roll call vote. Board Member Hudson.
Aye.
Board Member Alone. Board Member Perkins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Zafar.
Yes.
And Chair Clarkson.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0. Item 5 is consent calendar. There are no items. Item 6, unfinished business. There are no items. Item 7, new business. 7.1, resolution DV Ghad number 2020-003, appropriating an additional $500,000 from the Doherty Valley Geologic Hazard Abatement District reserves to CIP 400003 for a total project budget of $5.5 million, and increasing the authorization of DV Ghad District Manager to amend agreement with Goodfellow Brothers California in the amount of $750,000 for a total amount not to exceed $4.5 million for construction services as part of the CIP project. Staff report by District Engineer Robin Bartlett.
Welcome, Robin.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. Before you consider this item, I'd like to give you a brief recap of where we are with this project. As you no doubt recall, last year we discovered the large landslide in the Cami Court vicinity, and the Ghad board authorized $5 million for us to begin a repair project. That repair commenced with a large grading operation, and we moved about 100,000 cubic yards, approximately 40,000 of which was off-hauled to a receiving site on Longleaf Circle, which is sometimes being referred to as Area 4. That first phase of stabilization was aimed at halting the landslide and preventing any problems from arising during the winter. That was successful. The landslide stopped moving, and we then used the intervening time to conduct some additional analysis to help determine what the next steps would be. So that analysis is largely complete, and I'll just give you a quick overview where we've gone. And at the risk of boring you, I'll just run through some quick results of some calculations, which will hopefully give you a sense of what we've been doing. So this is just some graphics. Hopefully everybody can see this. This is just what comes out of doing some of the slope stability analysis that we typically run for landslides, and it's run through many cross sections that are drawn through the landslide area. So this is just one set of examples. This represents the condition prior to the start of any work. The calculated slope stability here was 0.966. Anything less than 1 means that it's a moving landslide. We then did our emergency grading. As you see, the surface has changed in these calcs. That brought the slope stability up over 1, which was confirmed by the instrumentation we placed in the ground that shows that slow movement stopped. There was then some additional analysis that was conducted, and part of installing hydroggers. Hydroggers are the essentially horizontal wells that you may have read about in the weekly council update. Those are aimed at bringing down the water surface, which is shown by this blue line. And that serves to increase the slope stability. It enhances the friction along the slide plane, reduces the loading slightly, and eliminates potential for water pressure to help lift up the slide mass. For this particular cross section, the analysis indicated that we'd get a increased factor of safety to about 1.2. And those hydroggers have now been installed, and they are producing water. Additional analysis then conducted to see what happened with removal of additional slide mass material. And that in this cross section brings the slope stability up to about 1.4, a little less here, which is about what we're looking for as a factor of safety at the end of grading. So what that looks like in a geologic map is that like this. We have basically layers of sandstone, siltstone, claystone out there. The red line represents the existing surface after the phase 1 grading. And what we're going to remove is just this shaded area in here. Plan view, what we're talking about is removing the material from this shaded area. So the previous area graded was much larger, going all the way up here. Trucks accessed along the access road, came up, came to the upper side, removed material. Fill was also placed as a buttress near the bottom of the slope on each side of the landslide. So again, we'll be hauling about 27,000 yards out this year from this shaded area. As before, the material will head over to the Longleaf Circle area and will be placed in the same general area where we placed it before, as well as off to the side in a smaller area over here. With this phase, we also aim to do some environmental mitigations to enhance the environmental benefits in this area. That's going to consist of a couple key elements. One will be removal of a section of the concrete V-ditch that's located on the east side of the receiving area as shown in this green line. Nobody really knows why that concrete V-ditch is there. It doesn't serve much of a purpose for the amount of water that comes down from the slopes. And given the grades out there, it's not really necessary. So we're going to remove that concrete, which will make this a better habitat in the area that gets a lot of water. We intend to break that V-ditch into the sections that it'll likely come out of, about 8-foot lengths, and stack them where these green dots are near the top of the slope and partially bury them. The intent there is to provide habitat for ground squirrels, which are the base of the food chain out there. We'll also be,
Remind me again, this is like by the all that green area, right? So we have Longleaf here and then all those hills and everything up in Doherty. This is part of that
yes, so
piping basically space.
the Longleaf, the area in Longleaf Circle, and I can bring up an aerial photograph if you like, but it was basically a very flat and highly disturbed area
Mhm.
prior to the start of this construction. It appears that it was being used as a laydown yard during the construction of Doherty Valley. And it is surrounded generally on the south, a little bit to the east and also to the north by hills, and then slopes on this north west corner down the hill. So it's basically intended to be a grassland area, which will what it will be restored to. Although we hope and anticipate that it'll be much more successful than the condition that we found it in. As we're grading this, we're going to try and put some contours in it, make it a little less flat, make it a little more visually appealing, but also put in some low areas that I've shown in blue here that will serve as collection pools, which will enhance habitat for the tiger salamander. When we're finished, everything will be hydroseeded with native grasses and flowers, and we hope to see some improvements over the condition that we found it in. We'll probably also put some informational signage at the edge of the trail, both entering and entering this this site from both directions, which will give some information on the restoration that we're undertaking.
You could also put in the species that you're preserving, or were you planning to do that? All that.
Yeah, we were anticipating that we'd be describing some of the species that will be
They'll just find it.
part of the hydroseed mix, as well as some of the ground squirrels and how that interacts with other species in the area, such as the burrowing owls, which make use of their dens, and of course the raptors that are feeding off of them, and give some general information to the public so they know more about the environment in the Doherty Valley, as well as what we particularly did at this site.
Yeah, because we put a lot of effort, right, to preserve that species there to make sure the home wasn't destroyed. So I think it's part of
Indeed.
this. It's important for people to see as well what was preserved and what lives here.
Yes. So that is the general outline. As I mentioned, of course, you previously put $5 million into this project. There's still some funds remaining. However, this phase is anticipated to cost towards $1 million in the excavation, removal, and replacement, as well as associated costs. So despite some savings, it's anticipated that the overall project will likely need additional funding, and we're looking to enhance the city manager's authority to extend the existing contract or enter into a new contract. Do you have any additional questions?
Robin, is GBI
unlikely to do this next phase, or are you just hedging your bets?
I anticipate that they will do this next phase. I did some preliminary estimates on what I thought this would cost using slightly lower values than we previously paid them, and they have come back with a bid that is a little bit lower than my estimate. And I think that we'll likely continue to use them as they did a good job. They worked well with the regulatory agencies and the biologists out there, and were generally not only successful in achieving the project, but we're very cognizant of all the residents' concerns out there associated with all the trucking as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I don't see any other
I
questions.
seem to be the only one that raises his hand anymore. I'm going to cut this out. Almost got blown away at the traffics meeting. Robin, if I'm reading this right, we're throwing in, we're going to raise the budget to 5.5 million, hopefully to give us a better position for negotiating anything else we might have in there. It's not as important to me as how much you're spending as it is what you're getting for it. And if I'm reading Bartlett E's pretty well, you think we're doing okay on this, and we might even be able to get him to do something further, or am I reading that into it?
I'm currently having conversations with GBI. They have given us some costs that are being scrutinized. They generally appear reasonable, so it would seem like a good plan to move forward with them, given their history, and that we already have them under contract, etc.
The other thing I wanted to ask before I let it get away, you've got that, you're the division manager, district engineer, and the district manager that we mentioned 2 or 3 times. Is that you or Joe?
Joe.
Okay.
If I don't see any further comments, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Is there anybody in the audience, Christina, who would like to comment?
We have no one in attendance.
I'll take that as a no. All right, I will go ahead and close public comment. Entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Malone,
Resolution
seconded by
2020-3.
Hudson. Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, can we take a roll call vote?
Or,
Wait,
sorry, I
Sabina
raised my
raised her
hand.
Did you?
But
Yeah.
we had this small screen, so I couldn't tell.
yeah, I know. That's why I raised my hand, because we were seeing the slide
Yes.
screen on the side. I just, what is the anticipated completion of this, Robin? I understand it's been delayed because of COVID, but do we have a anticipated completion?
Before the onset of this winter, I would think we can get started middle of next month, and it's probably 3 to 4 weeks of work.
Okay.
So mid-September.
I don't see any further hands up. We'll go ahead with the roll call vote.
Board Member Hudson,
Aye.
Board Member Alone,
Aye.
Board Member Perkins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Safar,
Aye.
and Chair Clarkson.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 5-0. Item 8, adjournment.
We shall adjourn, and we'll see each other in the next few minutes.